Hey everyone, I'm Nay, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I'll be reviewing set 71843 Rogue's Mech Dragon Rider. This set officially released on June 1st and currently retails for $59.99 in the UK. It contains 584 pieces and has 4 minifigures. If you enjoy my videos and want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe since this helps me out so much and make sure you don't miss out on my future uploads. But for now, let's get into the review. As for first impressions in hand, and it looks so cool. Obviously, the majority of the sets for Dragons Rising have been amazing, but this one is just so spectacular. Obviously, we've had the Mech Riders before, however both of those were Kais, so it's nice to get one that's for a different character for once. And of course, the coolest and most unique thing about this set is the fact that the mech is riding a dragon, which is such an interesting and unique concept, and I don't believe they've ever done it before. But not only that, this is, I believe, the first mech dragon we've had since Jay's Cyber Dragon from 2020. I guess I'll start off with reviewing each part on their own, and then finally one with them both together afterwards. So on the back we have Rogue, or Jay, on the back, which can really easily just pop off there. And I'll start with a closer look at the mech here, which is a similar style to the 2021 Cause Evo mechs. However, even though there were a few different versions of them, this is the first one we've ever gotten for Jay. And even though I much prefer the newer elemental mech types, these are still decent builds, especially for younger kids, and it'd be nice to see them finish the line someday. Taking a look at the bottom, and unlike the traditional flat shoes or boots that mechs often were, this one's built very similarly to how Lloyd's Mech from 2023 was built, with these sandals as the base. And even though it's not part of his colour scheme, I think that the brown worked really well with the dark blue for the remainder of the foot. And the little detail of light grey on the end there looks really great too, and it fits Rogue's aesthetic really well. And despite not using many parts, I think it looks really good since it's not really my strong suit when making mocks. And I think it's really simple but works really well too. Moving slightly on up, and the legs are built on and using the SCCBS joint in blue, which I believe is the first Ninjago set with them in, so it would be great for mech mocks that people make in the future. At the bottom, it just has a regular Nexonite shield piece in blue, which is quite common to get in Ninjago sets, which blends into this dark tan armour further up, which adds a lot of bulk to the legs. And the gold's a nice little bit of extra detailing, which it does use throughout the mech. As for the torso, the main cockpit is the one typically used in Marvel mechs, and we got the same exact one in his battle pack last year. And on it is this little stickered tile on the chest, which is brand new, though I do think is weirdly similar to the ones used in the January wave. Though this time it's got this yellow light, which I think could be representative of his lightning power in the mech. And even though it would have been nice to get the elemental mech cockpit, especially in blue, it still looks really nice, and on the side here it gives it this really unique angle too. Obviously it can open up to either take a figure out or put them in, and they're just held in with these two studs here. I like that up top it has more of the brown, since I think it works really well with his blue, and up top, just like the older Evo mechs, it also has a little flag here being in dark red, and it's got a really cool design with these two little clouds in the corners, and the mech dragon head's riding the lightning on it, which is a really cool design and arguably better than the Evo ones. And on the bottom of it here, it has these two bars which clip to the mech dragon and connect them. Starting off with the first arm, it's got this vinyl cape piece drawn over the shoulder, which is just so cool looking, and it's never been done before in Ninjago. I especially love how well the dark red clashes with the blue for the mech, but it still works so well together. The design on it shows the Ninjagan J and R, obviously being for Jay and Rogue. I actually even like the very tattered look at the bottom. It just looks so much cooler and makes it feel a lot more real. And it even swoops over the top a little bit and makes it look a lot more bulkier. Like the legs, it has the Nexonite shield piece along with individually posable figures, and this Technic hole underneath. And as you can see, it's holding this giant spear, which is also connected with the Technic pin. And at the top here is a little lantern with a dangling tassel on it, which seems very Japanese themed like the sandals, but also links with the rest of the sets, which all use the lanterns in them. Of course, however, you can remove it very easily and put it in the other hand, give it to another mech, or just put it away elsewhere. The other arm is different, however. It's got more dark tan, which seems to have this furry armor, which is kind of similar to the minifigure, which is really sold by these sharper pieces on the ends, and especially the claw-like piece at the bottom. And it's quite similar to the stuff Vikings wore, I think. And it has this cool design in gold here with the Ninjagan symbol for J, obviously for J. Lower down, just like the other arm, it has this shield piece, as well as this Technic pin connector on the bottom for an accessory. and 3 of these standard mech fingers, which can be individually posed. The legs have tons of motion, you can move them pretty much anywhere you wish, and the ankle joints also have some good motion, which I think is a huge win, since most of the larger mechs just don't have much motion, which is usually a shame, so it's good to see it here. However, it's not as good, but the posability for the arms is alright. The arm here does sort of get blocked, but it's not the end of the world, since of course you can still spin it 360 degrees. And because it's so small and light, it's ridiculously easy to balance and pose, as you can see here. And overall, it just shows why Ninjago has the best mechs compared to other themes like Marvel. It's got great posability, great function, and are just really fun, detailed, and unique. So overall, it's a very nice and fun little mech, but as the name suggests, this is just the rider. Obviously, it's not the highlight of the set. So now moving on, here we have the Mech Dragon, and first up, the colour scheme is amazing. I really love the mixing of the main colours, that being white, grey, and dark blue, which makes it feel really unique, because up until his evil arc, Jay mainly just used to have dark blue as a secondary, so it's so cool to see it used more prominently. As for the other 2 colours, I think they fit in perfectly with the theme of it being a mechanical dragon, since they're very typically used in robots throughout media, and it looks so clean with those colours too. First up are the legs, which are very similar to the ones on the Elemental Dragon from Season 1 and from Thunderfang earlier this year. However, it has been slightly scaled down for this set due to its size, and honestly, I don't mind. I think it works really well for the dragons. And this exposed technique works really well, since it's mechanical and not really an organic creature. However, they don't move down, only side to side, and these claws at the front, again, can be individually posed. And speaking of, you can get quite a few really good ones off, such as stomping about or even hunting for something. Though if you're posing it alone, there is a slight chance that it could fall over, since it's quite top heavy due to accommodating for the mech at the back. Just like on the mech, his wings are vinyl, and the lightning pattern on it is so amazing. And with that white on there, it looks really hot, and it looks like it's made of energy or plasma. But the blue on the end here seems to be very different, with all those parts and nuts and bolts on there. However, on the underside we can see it's made with Technic pieces, just like all the others made this way. And on the end it uses the Seabound blade piece, and a bit further in it has a sort of booster engine, and on the other side we have this claw with the same fingers as the mech, which actually have a bit more range of motion here, and it's even connected to a ball joint to allow for even better posing. Both wings are identical, which would be expected of a machine, and they have a really great range of motion. You can move them pretty much wherever you want them to. Onto the neck, and it has what I assume are like booster exhausts, like on the wings. It really seems it because of these trans blue lights on them here, and I think the gold accents really highlight them. There's a sticker on either side with more gold armour and what looks like a vent on them, which is pretty neat to see. However, after the neck it begins to flatten down further on, and as we can see it has this saddle for the mech to ride, and on the back it has this really short tail. As for the chest, I love how well they blend it into the lower jaw, sort of mimicking an underbelly like an organic dragon would have, and it has a sticker on the end here with some armour and a bit of gold detailing. And finally onto the head, and as expected it uses the same type of system that most of the dragons have had in Dragons Rising. However, again, I must say, weirdly enough parts-wise, it does seem most similarly built to the Elemental Dragon from Season 1, which was also a J-Dragon. However, as for the main parts, there are 2 brand new colours for these parts here. As for the top one, it has this trans yellow coming off the back of it here, obviously representing electricity. And on the face print, you can see they use the yellow and dark blue really well, and it really sells that it's a mechanical head. However, as for the bottom jaw, it has this different but plain grey piece here, which would be nice to get a little detailing. However, it does still make it seem really robotic. As you may have noticed, however, there's this all new piece in the middle of the jaw here, which seems like it'd be perfect for a night set. But its use here is really nice. It looks like the energy is wisping out of its mouth, almost like a machine removing excess energy. And its use in trans yellow as a lightning effect works really well. Of course, you can pose it in all sorts of ways, and you can even pose the plume piece around too. However, it is a little limited looking up since it gets caught here. However, it's not a huge problem because you can still pose it in all sorts of ways, like rotating it to the side and up. Of course, like I said, you can attach the mech at the back here with these clips, and the posing can get so much better. Like, you can make it look like a knight riding into battle, and the moving poses can get even more cooler. However, now moving on to the figures, I'll start with Arin, who's the same one who released in the Thunderfang set in March, so I'll go over quickly. However, firstly, he has a lantern, which inside has a light, which appears to be the same colour as the prismatic blade, so it may be interesting to see if there's a lore reason for it when Season 3 Part 2 releases. And he also comes with the reveal blade, which has a cool feature I'll get to in a minute. But firstly, its design is really cool. It's predominantly trans red with a gold hilt, which kind of looks like a dragon head, and the way it crawls up the blade like fire looks amazing. As for the main figure, on his leg print, he has a pouch on one leg and a medallion on the other attached to his belt, which has the Ninjago A. Onto the torso, and he spray painted over his old dragon design with a new magenta one, and he has this cloth hooked over one side along with having one black arm. For the helmet, this one comes with his original one recoloured in black, which is nice to get, and also looks so much cooler and better than his Stormsuit one. Underneath, he has the same one-sided grinning face he's had in every other set, and on the back is the continuation of the dragon spelling out Arin in Ninjago. Next up's the star of the show, Rogue. He previously appeared in the Dragonian Storm Village from the January wave, and is so cool to see. He comes with this long staff that has a blade on the end, which is a pretty unique weapon, but seems a bit too big for a normal figure. But it's so amazing to see, since some may see the village set as overpriced, so it's a nice way to get him, and if you can't tell, he's Jay. And getting a closer look, it's so nice to get this figure, it looks so cool. And you can see that under his robes is this shirt in sand blue, and he has the fur on his shoulder here. Throughout his robes, he has this metallic gold, which is so cool. It even has these two wind chimes, which have the Ninjago symbols for R and J. On his pants, he has this dark red belt, which stands out so much, and the gold continues, but it looks like the clouds, which is neat. Comes with this brand new hat piece in dark blue, which is really nice to see. And it comes with a stud to make it more customizable. Removing his hat and headpiece, we can see he has this angry facial expression for him, which is just so perfect. And it's so fitting for his character. And he has the Ninjago J on his back. As for the villains, first we have the new Spectral Dragonian, who are this wave's generic villains. Firstly, he comes with this banner, and this is where that reveal blade feature happens, and it's super simple. If you put the blade over the picture, it shows a dragon face on it, which is likely supposed to be Thunderfang. And it's just such a cool concept for a LEGO set to have, and really useful for the trans colours. This version comes with the ghost legs, though I must admit I prefer the printed legs to be honest. They're mainly trans light blue with this really bright turquoise minty colour, and I really like the slight detail of red for the hands and horns. I think it looks really nice and links back to the normal Dragonians. As for the main torso, they still have some silver there along with this red belt, and the main design is so much better than the other ones. It looks so cool and menacing and like spider-like. Taking off the armour, it's got a similar face, though this time like a mint blue colour with another bit of blue. And they look to be screaming. And on the back, unfortunately they don't have the fireball print. That was such a cool thing they had. But now they have what looks like the Forbidden 5 symbol, which it'll be interesting to see why. Just like the normal Dragonian warriors, these guys also come with the little dragons on their backs, only this time the dark blue. I think they look really nice, though I do prefer the old ones. They look a lot more dragony. My main complaint for it though is that for some reason the clips are black, which isn't the most noticeable, but it definitely looks a little off. And they have the same armor as the old ones, just in pearl dark grey and dark blue. And finally, we have a new member of the Forbidden 5, Rox, who's the elemental master of fear, which is such a cool concept for an elemental power. And she comes with just a regular blade attached to that sand green hilt, just like all the other Forbidden 5 members. And it's so cool to finally get her in minifigure form. She has the exact same shoulder pads that Noct does, and interestingly, she's the first Ninjago minifigure to use these medium legs, which is in between the short and regular ones. And it's so cool to see, but I would have preferred regular legs because she seemed really out of place compared to the other Forbidden 5 members. Her primary colour is black, but she does also use some reddish brown, like on her arms and hat, which is the same one that Jay has. And also on her torso here are like some screaming faces, which could represent her power with how they look. However, the most standout thing about this figure is definitely her face print. When she first appeared in the show, her mask was like 3D and on her face, so I was curious how they'd do it, and if it'd be like a half mask to wear. And although that would have been interesting to see, I think they nailed her look with this face printing here. Especially since printing white on figures usually ends up with the colour bleeding through and not looking too good. But I think they've nailed it, and she even has stripes on her forehead like Noct. On the back of her head, she has more of those stripes, along with the Forbidden 5 symbol on her back there, just like the other members have. Overall, I really like this set. Its price is a tiny bit high, but I feel it's worth it, especially with the vinyl pieces and new figures and prints. It feels really worth it to me. And personally, it's one of the coolest sets of the wave, and one of the coolest concepts we've had in a while. I must argue though, if it came with 1 or 2 more figures like Nia or another Dragonian, then it'd definitely feel a lot more worth the price. So unless you really want it and think it's worth it, just hold off a little until it's on sale. Unlike others, you likely won't need to wait a while for a large sale since it's not atrociously priced. So I would recommend it. It's one of my favourites of the wave, has 2 exclusive figures, one of which is a member of the Forbidden Five. It has a really cool concept and it looks so cool. But those are just my own thoughts. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. And if you enjoyed the video, then consider liking the video and subscribing to my channel. It helps me out so much and supports the channel a ton, and it's greatly appreciated. But for now, I'll see you in the next one. Bye!